For my video review project, I read One by David Karp. It's considered his finest work, and there are critics that put it up near Orwell's 1984 as one of the best dystopian novels written. It's set sometime in the future in America, which is now a benevolent state, or they claim to be, and it appears to be a utopia. The story starts off with Professor Burton, who's a teacher at Templar College and has a wife and two sons. But he also, for the past 10 years, has had a secret job spying and reporting on the people around him. And if they say anything that is considered a heresy, he has to report them to the Department of Interior Examination. After 10 years of reporting, Burden is called to the department's headquarters and believes he is there to be congratulated for his great work. Instead, the department has a giant book of all his heresies that he was unaware he was even committing, and the deputy commissioner, whose name is Lark, believes he can cure Burden of being a heretic. What Burden does not know is that he will be executed if he is not cured of this heresy. They believe that Burden's ego and vanity are what cause him to be a heretic, and that heretics like him will one day start a revolution against the state. The state claims they do not punish people, which is a lie because they start brainwashing him, and that's how most of the book is spent. Is Burden being brainwashed so that they can take all his heresies out of him. In the end, he caves and tells them he's been cured, and goes on. They give him a new identity called Hughes, and he's doing well until his ego and vanity shows up again when he's talking to a friend who happens to be a spy for the state. Not remembering who he was because of the brainwashing, Hughes returns to the department a week after being released and believes that they're going to tell him what a good citizen he is. I thought it was a good novel. It was very easy to read, only about 230 pages or so. The plot was very interesting with, it's kind of the same as many other plots with government that tries to act like they love every bum, what really they're only doing what's in their own interest. Most of the novel is spent in small rooms in the department with just a few people talking, so it's very character-driven plot, especially Lark and Burden. It's not a book that I'd read just to pass the time. You really have to pay attention while you're reading it because a lot happens. Even though it's only set over a few weeks, a lot really goes on. I think Karp, the author, did a great job of developing the character of Professor Burton. He's a very interesting character. In particular, I really liked the ending. Even though Burton/Hughes had to die, the state was unable to stop him from being an individual, which is what all people should be allowed to be. It gives hope that one day enough individuals will overcome the state that claims that they really care about the people when in fact they don't. The best parts of the novel were Burden and Lark when they were talking to each other. The way Karp wrote their banter was really good. I think the novel really does support the national story at the time. It was written in the 50s, and it's about the state fearing its citizens, which you had a lot of that after World War II and during the Cold War. The state was spying on the American government, was pretty much spying on every American citizen, making sure no one was a communist. And you have this in the novel: the state's spying on the government is spying on the American people, making sure no one's a heretic. And they even have citizens spying on each other, which would happen all the time during the Cold War. If you suspected your neighbor of being a communist, you'd tell the government. I thought that uh, his writing style was very good for the most part. There were a few areas where he kind of just dragged on, and in in one area in particular, um, Burton was describing one of his dreams, and just kind of kept going on, and it didn't really do anything for the book. Um, and he did a good job of developing Burton and Lark as the two main characters, but most of the other characters didn't really get any attention at all. They were just kind of thrown in, whether it was Burton's wife and kids, who the kids don't say a single word in the book. I mean, they talk. You hear them yelling at each other in the background. I mean, and his wife is only there for the first few chapters. They're not very developed. We don't really care about them. And the same goes with all the other people that Lark works with in the Department of Interior Examination, like Richard and Conger. Both talk to Burden, but we don't. But that's it. Like, we don't know anything else about them. They were just kind of thrown in so that it just seemed like he could add more characters. The last thing I liked about the writing was, when you first look in, it looks like it's a utopian society, but it's not. The plot twist is that it's really dystopian, and that is my review of One by David